Hello there. Welcome to Tag Talk. I'm Big Al. I'm here on behalf of Foam Thunder tonight to chat about Foam Thunder Pro 3, which was an event that happened on the 31st of last month, so a couple of weeks ago. But we have here with us three other people who were playing that day, and we're just going to chat about the event and have a bit of discussion about it. So we have Tartan Skirmish, we have Spectre, and we have RedDiamond also. Do you want to say hello?
Hello.
Evening, everybody.
Hello there.
Okay, so I've wanted to get Red on the show for well, ever since sort of episode one, really, because we met at like the first ever event I came along to, and that was like 5 years ago. And this is like the first time I've actually been able to pin down a recording date. There's actually not had Dave currently on a stage dancing somewhere, um, possibly without getting pound notes thrown at him. But why don't
That,
you
that
do the
that's the
introduction?
matinee. That's only the matinee, folks.
Why don't you do this, the thing that we're doing for new players, which is basically how did you get started in this foam flinging hobby? And if you break into song, I am going to hit you.
No, no. To see me in song, if you come along to the Ebenezer Church.
No, out, get.
No,
Go on.
in all seriousness, hello, I'm Red Diamond. To be honest, I got my phone flying start basically from my little cousins with a Maverick in 2012 because I bought the thing thinking, oh, this looks like the Samaritan. It's everybody done at the time. I never actually got to a proper Nerf war until 2018, I believe it was, in Dumbarton. And then after that, I was hooked and or hook, line, and sinkered into the place. Um, I'm actually quite known for turning up to events. Yay, this thing's fresh out the box. Crack. Oh dear, what's broken now?
You have a rather appalling technical record. You are to
No,
blasters what I am to property.
no, appalling is what I aspire to.
This is true. Yes, the better way. Anything else you want to say, or do you want to get launched into it?
Nah, we'll get launched into it because if I start going on about Monkland's Light Opera, I'll be, oh no, I need to run for work. And oh yeah, he spent an hour talking about his theatre group doing 95 in October and he hasn't actually talked about the event. Great.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
And
I'll
these people price tickets.
Don't encourage him. Don't encourage him.
Will be a link pinged. When this is
I will.
uploaded, there will be a ticket link.
Yeah, that's going to be the first comment. It's going to be you go. Think it's here, right? Foam Dart Thunder Pro 3. Al, what is it for those who have never heard of it before now?
Okay, so Foam Thunder Pro is a bit of a departure from the kind of usual events that Foam Thunder do. Foam Thunder is very family friendly, family oriented. Most of the games that we run are 100 FPS. But the Pro event is the kind of step into running something a bit higher FPS. Running high FPS games is something we talked about at Foam Thunder for many, many years. We always just thought, no, we'll just stick to the kind of family oriented stuff. That's kind of how it started, how it began, that's what it is at its core. We'll just kind of stick to that. Plus, also being up north in the wilds of Scotland here, we don't have the bigger player base that the game organisers down south have. So getting so many people together for a higher FPS game to make higher of a site viable has always been a bit problematic. Uh, but yeah, I'm gonna a quick shout out to our sponsors here. So, From Dark Thunder was also made possible by Dart Zone Blasters, who David, who's in charge at From Dark Thunder, got in touch with and managed to get a small sponsorship deal with them. And they sponsor the pro events. So, they supply us with blasters and darts to help put the events on. So, we can then tap into our player base of players that come to all the other family friendly games, and they can then, if they're old enough and want to give it the higher FPS games a try, they can come along to the Wonder Thunder Pro events and they don't even need to have any gear. They can just turn up. We've got blasters, we've got all the darts, we've got some spare magazines. I even bring a stack of off-randers and things along with me as well that they can borrow so they can just come along and jump straight into it. They don't even need to have any invest in any of the gear, and they can just come along and give it a try, which really makes these games a bit more viable as well. So yeah, thanks to Darkzone, they do some good things for the community, and it's appreciated.
Seconded, absolutely. Dart Zone has produced so many things, and for them to sponsor the event is just phenomenal. And if we were all professionals instead of raving amateurs, we'd have all held up a Dart Zone product at this moment in time.
No, the
And
only reason I had one is it was in my bag, sitting here, and I
sure,
can't remember actually why it was in that bag.
I think
I think I would echo Al in that the one of the things that was really exciting to see at Pro 3 was a number of individuals who had been to the lower FPS games, and they kind of showed up, and as opposed to somebody like me who's been doing this for a while and has access to the higher FPS stuff, they were they arrived, they were kitted, they were sorted out with blasters and magazines and all the ammunition they could need, and they got to have a really good time without having to spend that initial investment that can feel like a barrier to other high FPS games. I think it's a good thing that Darkzone do, and it's a good thing that FDT do to kind of provide that entry level.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking, was his name Charlie? Charlie was one of the guys who turned up to the Store Wars event.
They were the Star Wars, I think.
Yeah. And of course, he turns up, and turns up the Pro one as a case of, cool, here's everything you need, have at it, you know, and watching people just have such the biggest grins on their faces as they run around was just like, yeah, this is what it's all about. Just, it's fantastic. So yes, big thank you to Dartzone. I believe they have also essentially was it Pro 2, they gave out Christmas presents for everybody. I believe we should have a picture. I'm sure I've still got the picture. I'll be able to find that and pop that up. Lovely little demonstration of how generous they can be. So yeah. Anything else, or shall we jump straight in?
Just when we say high FPS for the Pro events, we're running at about a kind of 160 FPS cap. So round about what a Darkzone Pro blaster is roughly out of the box. So we run a kind of soft cap, 160-ish. So you guys that are coming along with your own gear, it's not a 200 or 300. It's kind of that a little bit. And then the players that come along want to borrow the kit, they've got a blaster that's kind of competitive out of the box. But yeah, unfortunately, some of the Pro blasters do vary a bit between 150 to 170, so we do run that just like in that ballpark, kind of 160-ish.
And one of the things is
we had this event. It's been our third event. The first couple of events, I think the first event we had about 12 people, second event we had 16, and this was 21, I believe, we had the other day, which was our best yet, and the kind of numbers we need to make the event viable, really. So that was kind of good to see, and we did have maybe 7 or 8 people had the loaner blasters as well, which was good to see.
Yeah, I know it's the Dave. What was it? The Max that you had, the revolver one.
That's the Outlaw.
The Outlaw. That's it. There. Okay. The fact that there's even a round specifically for games for blasters like that you are included in it. You actually shaped an entire round format entirely for a custom blaster, which is, I think, a nice little way of basically saying, hey, check this out. This is a really cool blaster. On to round one then. Or onto the actual event itself. What was the theme for the event? Because I think we should give proper kudos to Al's creativity when it comes to thinking up, daft and utterly memorable themes for it. Because looks like Spectre's going to pull something out.
Come here, come off the wall. There we go.
So yeah, the
Oh yes.
anti-squirrel virus card.
So, Resident Squirrel.
Obviously, try and do a theme for each event, but David always comes up with an idea and wants to do this kind of really immersive experience, and then I have to tell him how much that would cost. And then we tend to kind of break it down a bit and try and come up with something that's a bit more manageable between the two of us on a shoestring budget. And yeah, I like to just go for silly, fun games, nothing too serious. I don't like super serious things when I'm playing stuff. I just want to have some fun and shoot some darts at people, and that's really it. So I really love the games. Just a bit of fun, kind of playground games, but with your blasters, and that's what I tend to go for. So our first event, we just did a kind of no theme, just to get used to the new venue. We did the Resident Evil-esque style game, the Resident Squid Evil. So David came up with a thing of wanting to do a Resident Evil themed, but obviously we try and steer away from using other people's IP too much. So we kind of changed things up. So we had instead of Raccoon City, we went with Squirrel City and just kind of built on it from there, and it will go rather silly, but it was good fun. And then this time, David came up with the idea: let's do a Call of Duty themed event. We'll do this big kind of Milsim military operation type thing, and just we got as far as what can we call it, and we came up with Haddock instead of cod, and then we just decided to run with fish puns.
Do you know what the worst part is? I've literally just caught the fact that it's haddock, not cod.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, the kind of the Call of Duty theme kind of went out the window, and it just became fish themed. Really, so we came up with a bunch of games based around fishing and fish themes, which I thought was quite funny.
They were.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Oh, they were great. Like genuine. The to kind of the benefit of Nerf for me over say airsoft or paintball is the fact that we don't take ourselves as seriously as potentially other tagging sports.
Don't take yourself seriously.
It's really hard to take yourself seriously when you are bodyguarding somebody who's carrying a miniature magnet fishing rod.
Yeah.
Well, you can kind of take yourself seriously, but as you're running, you do hear, "He never gives up, he's always there." And the G.I. Joe theme's just coming from behind you.
If I get intellectual property struck for this recording just because of you, Red, I'm coming after you, right?
Uh-oh, and you know where I live.
Yes, I do know where you live, exactly, yes. Okay. Al, before I end up threatening more physical violence upon Red, would you please like to get us back on track there?
Yeah, so yeah, we came up with a series of games to play through the afternoon. We had a 4-hour session, so we planned for. I think we'd planned for 6 games originally. See how it went with a break in between. Then like a dart sweep halfway through, a lunch break, and then back to it. So first game, but the twice we played at the depot, which is the venue we use this. So it's a big indoor airsoft venue, which is in an old factory. So it's quite a vast warehouse, and it's also still a work in progress because it's so big. Every time we go there, they seem to have added other bits to it because there's so much space. So the first game's always just getting used to the area. There's always going to be some people there who've never played there before as well, and it's a bit maze-like, and it's quite dull and low light, so it can be a bit disorientating if you run off into the darkness. So the first couple of games, we just want people to get their bearings right. So we do a kind of kill confirm game, or a variation on that. But for the fish theme, we called it catch and release. And if you got tagged, you were frozen to the spot. You had a 10-second bleed out time. And if a teammate got to you, to put a hand on your shoulder and repeated the nursery rhyme, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a fish alive, you were alive again. But if an opposing team member got to you, put their hand on your shoulder and said 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then I let it go again. You had to go and respawn. If nobody got to you within 10 seconds, you also then had to go and respawn and straight back into the action. So yeah, it's quite a fast-paced game. People run about tagging each other, singing nursery rhymes, and yeah, having to get a bit of fun. And we always try and play that game twice, so that's kind of important. So each team can see the venue from each side, because it's not a perfectly symmetrical venue. It does vary from side to side. So we always want the players to play from each end and get used to the arena.
I think we've all been to the depot on prior occasions. I didn't think there was that many changes to the layout.
There
No,
was
no.
up at the Esso garage. It seemed to be a bit tighter. I think he's put a room in front of that because
Yeah, it hadn't changed too much since the last event, but it had added a couple more rooms.
Mhm.
They definitely felt like there were less long sight lines, at least from because one of the ways that I set my gear up for FTTs because I'm older and slower now. I like to aim for kind of the kind of hanging back and putting fire down from longer range. And I definitely noticed that there were less long sight lines. It was more of a maze now, and that's good. I think it's a good change, but it
Mhm.
definitely changes how I'm playing as well.
Sure.
There were definitely like a couple of very open areas last time, which were filled in a bit more.
They've still got the pseudo arena bit in the center, um, which was I think really good because there was no way you could hide. No matter where you positioned
Yeah,
yourself, you had multiple people being able to get line of sights on you, so you never felt safe in that area, which I thought was kind of important because that meant it was really difficult to sort of hold that area by one
yeah.
person.
I quite like that room. It does make a good focal point for a lot of the objectives because I think it's kind of hexagon shaped. I think,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I can't remember if it has 4, 5, or 6 different entrances all around it. So it does make for quite a kind of central. And it is kind of just in the middle. It's just slightly off center, I think, at the middle of the arena. But it does make a good focal point for objectives and stuff.
Um,
Yeah, it's the place where we put the domination timer this time, I think.
well,
And definitely holding that or getting to it to change it was a tactical challenge.
for the first and two games of Catch and Release, did anyone else find that people were making a really good effort at trying to remember what the rhyme was, and then she was going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, did.
or you just get to the point you could just go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Off you go, respawn again.
Yeah, or little variations of their own puns or stuff like that. Okay, but fundamentally, bleed out and hand tag revive have been mechanics that we've used previously with great success there. So it was a solid game format there. Anything else about games 1 and 2, or shall we let Al take and get us on to the next one there?
I think the only complaint I really had, but that wasn't much of a complaint because once people realised, they sort of went, "Oh, whoops." Whereas I don't know if it was just the Garrett up at the Esso garage at
Hmm.
spawn being the spawn point. You sort of ended up on it and then went, "Oh, I'm at your spawn, aren't I?" Like, there's a brilliant bit of Get Spectre. It just sort of wipes us all out, slap the wall to bring myself back in, just like, right, pew pew, sir. You're like, "Oh, whoops."
Yeah, it's and to be fair, it's the same at both sides.
Yeah.
Because the arena it's a rectangle,
Hmm.
it's not a square. And the spawn points are at the like at the shorter end, so it is possible if you push hard enough to get to the point where you're on someone's spawn, and you just have to be slightly aware of that and be like, okay, this is no longer fun for anybody because I'm shooting fish in a barrel and they can't go anywhere, so I'm just going to go another direction for 10 seconds and let it happen. But that's that's not a fault of that game or the venue. That's inevitable with any nerf game. You just have to accept that
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. I get. I
spawn camping is poor drills.
I don't know. It just seemed like it felt like it happened there more than down at the other side. But I mean, tactical stupidity personified here. So
I think, yeah, I
We
guess like
won't.
more open at the SO garage end, so it's easier to stumble upon it quicker. I'll always do try and say to people as well, if that happens, just say, like, if you have line of sight on their spawn point, take a walk and go
Yeah,
somewhere else. Find them at the top. Yeah.
yeah. So what was games 3 and 4 then?
Uh,
Can anybody
Remind
remember?
me.
Game 3 was the fishing hole game thing.
yeah,
I
deadliest
think
catch.
we had yeah, the Deadliest Catch game. I think we just played that once, if I remember.
Yeah,
Oh
we
yeah,
played that
because
once.
our team got utterly annihilated.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this game was a variation on collect things, which is a game we often run. A game that lots of clubs often run. So it was a collect the things to score points. But as we were doing the fish theme, I decided I had in my mind about the kind of the old magnetic fishing games you had for the toddlers and kids. And I just thought that would be fun to get them to do that.
Is that the little
So
ones
a
with
lot of these magnetic,
like the snappy jaw, like piranha things that they would go up and down? Yeah.
so I just kind of randomly ordered these magnetic fishing sets, and then when they arrived, they were quite small. They were a bit smaller than I was expecting. Uh, so we then came up with the idea of putting them in hula hoops. Because the fish were quite small, we didn't want to lose them in the vast arena everywhere. It would just be really difficult to find. So we thought, okay, the story is you're in the frozen Arctic, and these are fishing holes, and so you can only fish in the designated fishing holes, which are the hula hoops. So I think we had three hula hoops dotted mainly around the kind of central area, with lots of different fish in them, and each team had two designated fishermen. So each team had two magnetic fishing rods, and they were the only ones who could catch the fish. And they then had to take them back to their landing net at their base to score the point. I tried to do it so if the fisherman got tagged, they had to then pass the fishing rod on to somebody. So that would mean the fisherman title would move around the team, hopefully, so different people could have a shot there. But I'm not sure how many fishermen actually got tagged during the game. And definitely a few of the people I gave fishing rods to at the beginning gave them back at the end of the game, so they must have been fishermen the whole game, I think. But yeah, there was a thing. One of the teams, they ran off looking for the fishing holes, but they ran off to the sides of the arena, and they spent a good 5 minutes looking for the fishing holes.
Yes, because our
Well,
fisherman said, I passed one this way. Oh, wait, did I? It wasn't me, but actually.
right.
I
So then the
genuinely
other team
thought
obviously
I
just
was
tried
not
to
going to put
do.
them in the middle. I was going to put them around the sides.
Whereas
Yeah, so
we
one team hit the fishing holes considerably quicker than the other team and managed to score like a dozen points before the other team had even found the fishing holes, which kind of
Yep.
there was no catching up. Like,
yeah, so there were from my recollection there were three fishing holes. There were one in the kind of the kind of central room, and then one on either side. And in the 5 minutes that it took the other team to realize where the fishing holes were, we'd essentially taken all the fish out of the center one. So we could then just concentrate on keeping our one. And there was just no way that they were going to, because they could empty their fishing hole on their side of the arena all they liked, but we were one entire fishing hole ahead.
Yeah.
And we just like, but yeah, and that's why we didn't end up changing our fishermen at all, because we put all of the people with rapid fire or full auto basically guarding the fishing hole, while the two fastest, youngest, athletic ones got the just were running back and forth and running back and forth. I don't think at least one of our fishermen didn't carry a blaster at any point. Their entire job was just grab fish, take fish, come back, rinse, repeat.
Yeah. Crabfish and run. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was an amazing game, but it was genuine. Like I'm thinking, yeah. So next time, don't try and second guess Al. You know.
Now I'm just having PTSD flashbacks of the water filled things from
Yeah.
two.
Yeah. See, because if going back to the Resident Squirrel, right? We were looking for the keys during the second one, and then very quickly spotted there's a great big light shining upwards to tell you where the key is. Look for the lights shining into the sky, a la Batman style. Okay? So we're thinking, there's no lights. All right, okay, we're going to have to look for them. What would I do if I wanted to get players to run around? I'd put them around the sides, you know? Watching you next time, boy. Going to very quietly I'm going to like pay small people to spy on where you pit stuff, you know? Do industrial espionage. Right. I loved it, despite the fact that we got utterly trounced. I loved the idea of just players running around with this tiny little magnetic fishing rod, you know, and magnetized fishing, you know. Yes. Next one. Or anybody else to say anything there, or on to whatever game came next?
The next one was just a big attack and defend, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the next one. We went to the pushback game, I think.
Yes, yes, the one where we all managed to get lost quite frequently, trying to figure out. Even though it's like a case of we're all going in that direction, at least some of us managed to get lost quite frequently.
And two of us ended up in the back rooms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I'm sure I've got that on camera. I'm sure I've got that on camera. Yes. What?
There is an entire section to the depot that we've not even used yet, like the kind of old office and storeroom area. But we just feel it's quite tight and dark in there, so we need to come up with a game that will work.
Oh, you're gradually disappearing off the screen.
Phone's balanced on the water bottle. Yeah, so the next game we played was a pushback game. The reasoning behind this game was I wanted to use more of the arena, because as Spectre said earlier, you know, it's a rectangular arena. We tend to play across the kind of the short length of it, kind of through the middle. So although it's quite a big space for the kind of 15 to 20 players that we've been getting, I wanted to use more of the arena in areas that we hadn't used before.
Mhm.
So that's why I came up with this pushback where we'd do a kind of stand and hold in each the four corners, and then finish with a final stand in the middle. So there'd be five stations on the pushback. We would therefore use the entire arena for once. So we called that the take the five oceans or something. I can't remember what we called it.
Around the five oceans, I've got it as. Wait.
And so it was essentially start in one corner, and then you work 1, 2, 3, 4 corners into the middle for a final stand. Obviously, we could use fixed bases and spawn points we'd been using. So David and I had a flag each, and David designated the defending team, and I designated the attacking team, and we kind of moved the kind of spawn point. So the attacking team had to clear the defending team out of each corner. Defenders had 1 life in each corner. Once they attacked, they were supposed to go stand kind of behind David out of the way. Once everyone was taken out, David then walked around to the next corner. I'd gather the attacking team and find a suitable spawn point closer to that area, and we moved around the arena doing that. I don't know, from my point of view with the attacking team, it seemed to work quite well in terms of people kind of running back and respawning on the flag and then going straight back into it. But yeah, I think there was a few instances of kind of The defending team were supposed to stay within about 30 feet of David, not venture too far away, but I'm not sure that was a bit too 100% all the time. There's a few people hiding off.
Some people got quite enthusiastic about not being caught.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it generally worked quite well, and it just kind of went like most pushback games do. And it was
Yeah.
actually quite close timelines, I think. So we ran the game twice for each team. I think we ran it once, did a quick dart sweep, had a quick lunch break, then after lunch we went back to the second round of it. And I can't remember which team won, but there was only a couple of minutes in it, really.
Rain Inspector's team.
I think one team was 31 minutes, and the other team was maybe 26, 27 minutes. So,
Yeah, there wasn't a huge amount in it, and it again, it was a really good game for getting to see the arena and getting, which then contributed to the next game being much more wide ranging as well, because people then were like, "Oh, I know where everything is now."
Yes,
The depot does
Yeah,
have
it's kind
a
of
very
the
good
final
layout.
in that one.
There you go.
So I think we had what was I going to say there? Can't remember.
I've got
Oh,
it
yeah.
because Nick Daffy Discord
I'll-
is the Plenty of Fish. It was called. It was the Domination Collection one.
I'll jump if I could very quickly just sort of jump in. I loved the pushback game because yes, the nature of the nature of the arena is because it's a rectangle and we use spawn points on the long side, and sort of roughly in the middle. The outer sides of the arena don't really get used
Yeah.
that much.
Yeah, it's really useful.
And therefore you sort of get quite familiar with like the sort of middle square and two corridors at the end sort of just don't really get used. And this is the one thing where I say basically maybe like for the fourth one, take the spawn points and have them on the short ones so they're quite far apart. People get more use out of things. But again, way works. But there are so many cool layouts and buildings that we genuinely don't often get to see and with them. And I thought that pushback just worked really well. Pushback's a solid format. Everybody loves it. And yeah, I just think it worked really well just to basically say, right, you're basically assaulting around the arena. Solid. But yeah, the next one you were saying, Red.
I think we did try in the very first pro event. I think we did try one game where we played long ways across the rectangle, but felt it was just a lot of respawn walking for folk who got tagged quite far up. You were quite far away from your respawn point,
Produce,
and then you're playing with quite low numbers. If we had bigger numbers, that might not be as much of an issue, but I think with the smaller numbers, it did thin the game quite a bit. The final stand for the pushback we felt as well was quite because so the final stand we based everyone in that kind of central room, and then the attacking team just did a kind of take 15 paces away, count to 5, respawn rather than respawn on the flag, which meant they could respawn from anywhere. They just had to walk away from the action, respawn out of sight, come back in, which meant they could respawn from any angle. So it meant the defending team, they weren't just defending attackers coming from, they weren't in a corner defending a corner. They were like being attacked 360 in the final stand, which didn't last very long.
No. No, the final stand was typically like one of the fastest points to capture because it was a case of like no matter where you're trying to aim and cover, somebody's going to tag you. You know, it's the nature of it. It's it's a game that the defenders are basically how long can you hold out, but it works. Next one, or anybody else to say anything as per open format.
I've just followed your tactic though for that central stand. If you run in, you get tagged. Continue on with your 15 paces, and you're attacked from behind. But I don't know if that would be unsporting.
Shooting somebody in the
So
back.
far enough away now.
When's that ever stopped you before now?
Well, usually because I'm not fast enough to get behind anybody.
Anyway, On to the next one.
So we did the 2 rounds of that. After that, we did. Always wanted to do, because we have such a big area there. The depot wanted to do a multi-objective game. So we've not really done one of them before. FDT really. So I wanted to do a domination timer, collect the things, and then we chuck the flux discs in there as well. So rather than just playing a straight game of flux or a straight game of domination, we kind of chuck the 3 different objectives in together. So
Because we've done
the
sequential.
domination timer.
We've done sequential objectives, haven't we, with the briefcase one? Collect the keys, collect the briefcase, retrieve the briefcase. Yeah, so sequential, yeah. But multiple non-sequential objectives, yeah.
So what we did was we put all the little fish out and about again, and we also chucked the ducks out as well. So we had fish and ducks. Each one into your pocket at the base would score you a point. We had 5 flux discs in play, which I think we gave 3 points for each flux disc at the end of the round. And then we also had the domination timer in the middle central room area. I found this really cool app on Play Store called I think it's just called Board Game Timer. It's just very simple. You can pick up to 8 different players, and you just tap on the screen. It starts counting. So set it up for 2 players, red and yellow for each team. I've got this old tablet. It's an old kind of rugged kind of workbook tablet. So it's got a very rubberized case and stuff. So it's a kind of tough pad type thing. So I'm quite happy putting that out in the arena. If it gets knocked over or anything, it's probably going to be all right. So I've got that sitting with the timer set on it, so the teams just have to come in and tap. There's a little kind of stick figure in their colour, and they just tap that and it starts counting the time. If the other team come in, they tap their little stick figure, closes the one timer and starts the other timer. It's really, really simple to operate, really simple to use. Probably going to use that in the future for different games. That works. It just works. It's really intuitive, easy to use, and works well. It's just a bit easier than the chess timers. So when you hit the chess timers, you press one side down and the other side starts counting, and it's hard to get them started from scratch and stuff. Whereas this just works much better.
Yeah.
So so we had the timer. I think we were given a point for every minute on the time at the end of the round as well. So we kind of did that. So teams had to run off and collect stuff, flip discs, and battle over the timer. So it made for quite a good game. Enough for me.
And the depot's layout actually helped that, because there was one I'd ran forward, get hit, coming back, and I'm like, right. And I thought, oh, there's another flux disc there, but they keep coming back. It was like, right, there's that. Plus, wait a minute, where's that? Where's that other disc?
Yeah, the what I found was the ducks were quite small, and not necessarily the most easy to spot, or rather for me. Sarah was spotting them like miles off, like there they are. Like, how can you even see that? So as you were walking back to respawn, thinking, well, there's that, like, quick, hand on the wall, respawn, run off, grab the duck. Spectre, yourself?
We got rinsed. We really did. Like, our team got absolutely hammered on this one. Mostly but I was continually trying to get to the domination timer, but the blue team just had that center area absolutely on lock, and I think I tunnel visioned on that. And what I should have done is got gone around and turned the flux discs and got picked up other stuff. And I was like, no, I want the little man. I want the little man. But I got to him once for about, I think I got maybe 30 seconds on our timer, and the other team just controlled it for like 18 minutes of something stupid. Like, it was completely one-sided at that point, because they got that center area on absolute lock. But it was still fun. It was still a very fun game. I'd like the concept of the multiple objectives and things like that. I don't know necessarily, like, I don't remember what the numbers were. I think when we were talking about it, it was like, well, if you've got control of the flux, the domination point, nothing else matters. But I don't think that's true. Like, I was sure when I thought about the numbers afterwards, it's like, nah, you could definitely pick up enough ducks and fish and flux points to offset the domination timer.
I think it finished day one by 20 points. I think it was something like 50-30, roughly, give or take.
Yeah.
They score a bulk of points on the timer. But yeah, I think you guys might have had the most flux discs, but then they scored a bit extra on ducks as well, and fish. So there wasn't, there wasn't that much in it.
But I think
10 ducks and another flux, and like even just a few minutes on the clock would have evened things.
Yeah, but I think also it says to the nature of the different team setups, because one thing that was really good about the game and something that FDT always does very well is that they try and keep very much an eye on the kind of team balance and make sure that the teams are roughly well organized in terms of the blasters they have and the level of experience and all of that. And what I thought was really interesting was that the team that did really well at the pushback, which was all about aggression and all about movement, did really well. And then in the next game, where there was a primarily domination control area, the other team did really well, and that sort of speaks to the fact that the teams were well balanced, but not necessarily in the same way. Does that make sense?
Equal but different.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we've all got our own play style. Again, similar mantra, you nerf you. But the way that Al constructs a team and shifts things around, that there's very clearly an imbalance, is good, because it means that although yes, you can get steamrolled, which has occasionally happened, it's not this team's going to constantly steamroll because they've got an advantage. You'll be fine. Well, let's just swap use pair around, or such and such, and then that's great, because then the other team thinks, oh cool, right, that's fine.
Yeah, and the different. Sorry, go ahead, Al.
No, I mean I'll look at teams in the briefing room and think, right, split them up and think, yeah, that looks pretty even. But yeah, it just depends how people are feeling that day, how much they want to run about, how like, are they there to take it easy and just have plink some darts, or are they there to run about crazy and push the objectives? And it depends from player to player, from day to day as well, how hard they're going to play that day. So you have to just do it on the fly, and you can't at the beginning of the game say this will be the team, and they'll be even. You have to let it play out for a few games.
I think that does sort of speak to the experience of FDT as well, because I've played a lot of FDT, because obviously you guys are my local, and I've never felt like I've played other tagging sports where like you spend the entire day just getting stomped, and that's not fun for you, and it's also not fun for the other people. Like it might sound like it's fun to be the one doing the stomping, but it actually isn't, because it's not a challenge. It doesn't feel good for you.
Yeah.
And having that kind of that balance of there are areas that this team's good at, there's areas this team is less good at, or the feeling of like to my mind, an ideal sort of outcome is that everyone had a good time and there's a roughly 50-50 split of wins and losses.
Yeah, I mean, but we've also had events where one team's won every game, but it's been so close, and because it's been so close, everyone's enjoyed it anyway. Even though one team did win all the time, they weren't getting stomped. It was touch and go.
Yeah, I think that's also a sort of very good point. I actually remember one of the Battle of Britnef ones where the way that the teams kind of ended up being split is you had one group that very much just wanted to fling foam, and the other group that were very kind of tactically minded and objective minded. And the team, and because the nature of the games was, tactically and objective minded, the people, if you look at it purely on paper, the team who did the tactical and objective stuff, they won every game because that's what we're doing. But the other team had an absolute riot because all they really wanted to do was to run around and fling foam at each other, which is at the end of the day what we're all here to do.
Yeah.
And it comes back to the thing at the start about the slightly silly nature of the hobby and the slightly the desire to make sure that fun is at the forefront, which FDT is really, really good at kind of making sure happens.
Yeah. At no point in time, I genuinely, I genuinely don't think there's been an FTT event that I've gone to that I've come away from without having a massive grin on my face from just how much fun it's been, just primarily because of the chaos factor, you know, or the funny stories or the footage or the anecdotal stories that we can tell, how much when you think about it, like to go back to the water inside the container moment when you pick that up and you realize, oh, this has got some weight to it, and momentum is a thing.
Hey, that cup
Yeah.
was full when I left that bit. Why is it half empty? Oh, yeah, I've spilt half of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's FTD proves why you you inherently have to come from a position that you cannot take it seriously. You can be incredibly enthusiastic, but if you want to be super serious, you maybe take everything with a pinch of salt, you know. Anything else to say about this particular round, or shall we move on to the next one?
The only thing I can really say is my K2 was a bit of a diva at that point, and I went, "No, you're going back in the bag," and they just stuck to the fire rat for it.
I definitely had some blaster issues towards the latter half of the day, but this is why I bring multiple ones. I remember getting like into the second round of the pushback game and having to say to Al, "This is dead. Start the next round without me. I'll be back."
Yes. Followed by you trying to do open heart surgery on it and wondering what's gone wrong with it. Oh no.
But again, fortunately, I only had to do that at the end.
No, it's true. What was the next game after that one, Al?
I think the plan was to do the second round of fishing game at that point, but the time was against us, so we just went to finish off with an HVZ. It would kind of traditionally finish with HVZ at most FTT events, but the depot being quite big and not a lot of players, it's quite easy to hide. Also, the players would be usually packing a lot of firepower than usual, so it kind of puts the zombies at a massive disadvantage. So what I tend to do is do a kind of six in the chamber rule. So you can carry whatever blaster you want, but you're only allowed 6 rounds total on you at any point. So if you've got a magazine-fed blaster, you can load 6 rounds in it, and that's it. And if you want any more darts, you have to scavenge them and reload on the fly. So it kind of leans into having like the outlaw blaster or just a 6-shot blaster that you can top up on the fly and run about with. We also give the zombies some power-ups to the starting zombies anyway. Give them some power-ups to help get things off the ground. So I think the first time we played this, I just had 3 people start zombies, I think, and I'm not even sure if they tagged anyone because everyone just hit and was just able to pick them off and couldn't get near them. So then we added in one starter zombie with a shield, one with pool noodles, and for this one, I decided to put a tank in as well. So I found some inflatable clownfish. So we decided to call the game Don't Find Nemo, and we gave the tank zombie the big inflatable clownfish. So that zombie obviously couldn't run, but was also unstoppable. So they could just wander about and keep the players on their toes and agitated and moving. Because obviously they can't stun the zombie and take it out. So it's going to keep coming at you. Then obviously we had the shield zombie and the pool noodle zombie as well. So that game, it seemed to work a bit better. I think the zombies got a few kills quite quickly, which boosted the zombie horde. But then we had a couple of quite young, fit players who were able to kind of just sprint around and use the whole venue to get it running and hide.
How dare they be so athletic?
Yeah.
Or how dare they be so small they hide in a shadow and you walk past them like 2 or 3 times and they've actually sort of pop their head up and go, "Hey, I'm hiding here." Comfy.
Yeah,
From my point of view, anyway, probably the best I did in there. It was quite good.
yeah. As a final game, HVZ is always a high energy one. It's quick. Everybody sort of gets that mad last 5 minutes of adrenaline running round. And yeah, I think with the unstoppable zombie, the shield zombie, and the pool noodle zombie, I think we've sort of hit a really good balance. Because like I was a pool noodle zombie during Resident Squirrel, and I don't think I caught anybody. It was great fun running around with these two pool noodles, knowing that I can basically reach out like another 4 meters, you know, and therefore I mean, don't get me wrong, I made that much noise walking around that, people could have walked behind me and I wouldn't have noticed them because I was sitting battering the pool noodles off the surfaces to try and disorientate players. Don't necessarily think that worked though. But the idea of the tank zombie, just go, yes, hello, run. Yeah, great. I loved it.
I think 2 games, I can't remember.
No, I think we only done the one.
Was it just the one? I think, yeah, because I think it lasted a bit longer than I'd expected it to last. So
Yeah. The more players you think, more players, that means it's going to be shorter. But yeah, if people can get moving and hide, um, and because you can very easily break line of sight with the amount of cover that there is there. So Duke one way, Duke another way, and suddenly you've got, they've got no idea where they are. Very easily lose a tail quite easily. Ba-dum-tsh, fish pun. Anything else to say?
Nemo is terrifying. Just coming around the corner and there's these two inflatable clownfish being held out in front of you, and you're like, oh no.
I won't
There's a-
tell Sarah that you've called her terrifying.
so I think there was a brilliant bit I caught. I never actually heard the zombie behind me. It's just I turned round. He's just like, he's about there and he shouts, "Rawr." What the?
Brian, I
Because
need
you're thinking,
Brian.
you're thinking like they shouldn't be able to sneak up on you. You should be able to see things or hear them very easily. But they can be really super quiet.
It's just the depot. It turns them into ninja zombies.
Indeed. So overall, anything else, Al, from yourself there? The overall, how do you think the event was in terms of for you as a game organizer, like what you thought about the success of the games that you designed, how you felt it worked, what's the potential for the future for number 4 going to be? Hint, this is your chance to plug it.
So yeah, I think it went well. Like, I mean, the games are still fairly simple and just variations on themes of games we've played before. Just try and keep them fun and change things up slightly. But yeah, they all seem to work well. We had a really, really good group of people in. It was a pleasure to run the event. Everyone behaved themselves and was perfectly pleasant to each other, and it was all good fun and good natured, and everyone had a laugh, I feel, which is always good. And yeah, I think no matter how hard we plan, we'll always run out of time at some point and always have to skip at least. We usually have to skip at least one game we'd planned, but yeah, that just happens. But if games are going well and we just let them run on a bit and people are enjoying themselves, and yeah, we always we adjust things on the fly as we go. But yeah, it's been good. Obviously, we're looking to do the next event. Was it the 9th of August, I think, was the date we were looking at.
Very quick
Yep.
check on the calendar. 9th,
There
we go.
Yeah, where me and David haven't got a lot of free time over the next couple of months, and yeah, even David might not make that one, so it might be just me running it myself at this point. And we're just waiting for the venue to confirm everything, and then the tickets will go on sale. In terms of theme for this one, I might go Star Wars themed, I think, just because I've got a ton of Star Wars stuff ready to go.
Baseballs. Do
especially for-
Spaceballs.
May the Force be with you.
And your tank zombie is your brother's cousin's nephew's third roommate from college.
Yeah, so
And he's here
Please,
to collect
please.
the rent.
Right, please, at least at some point in time, we have to have a game that involves a giant comb, right?
Go in the desert.
There we go. We've decided. Next one's going to be Spaceball themed, just simply because we can. Giant comb, you know.
yeah, I might recycle a couple of games from Boba Fest. See.
Boba Fest games worked incredibly well, as be said. The long form game that we done where we were having control points that you could take over worked very, very well. And I could imagine the four corners of the arena with control points, you know, like flux style sort of thing, okay? Yeah, you could do a lot with that one.
Yeah,
As
long as you don't have to
that one.
camp.
myself, but we'll see.
Right. Any closing thoughts? Because I am aware, Red, you're going to have to shoot off in about 7 minutes.
Gotta love getting paid the big bucks to work constant nights.
Yes.
FTT
have
Pro.
money, will buy toys.
FDT Pro is a lot of fun, and I would strongly encourage anybody that's interested in perhaps a slightly older, slightly more involved game set should come along and check it out. I was going to say you can be absolutely competitive with very limited outlay, but even again, the best part is with FDT Pro, there's no outlay involved other than the event ticket because FDT will hook you up. FDT and Dart Zone.
Indeed.
If Dartson want to throw more stuff at us, yay!
Subtle showing there, subtle. So, yeah. With that, thank you to everybody for joining me. This has been episode. I've got no idea what episode number this is. 14,
69.
We'll edit it in post.
This has been Tag Talk. Thank you so very much, and we'll join you for the next episode.